All right. This is the third installment of building our SaaS business in public. I'm Ben, and this is Tyler, and we are co-founders of Masset for anyone who's a first-time viewer of this video series. The big thing for us is we believe that there's a lot more to business than just a corporate website and a product, and we want people to get to know us and the reason we're building. And these are weekly updates about what's going on in the business. So, Tyler, why don't you take it away? What did you do on the product side of things?
Do I go first every week? Let's see what maybe that's just
I,
the way of
if I do
life
the
now.
introduction, I feel like I get to pick who
we
goes first.
we got to go
So
back and forth
you got to
conversation
flip
wise,
coins
right?
on intros, I guess.
Yeah. So this is great because this week I started tracking everything that I was doing so I could have a more comprehensive outline. I'm not going to go over everything that I did, but it was fun to keep track of it. So the big two things this week was our HubSpot integration. We continued to work on that. We hit a big milestone right at the end of the week, right before this podcast, actually, where we were able to get it live and running in our own personal HubSpot instance, which was pretty cool. So that was huge progress, big victory for us. So that was a lot of fun doing
I'm going
that.
to go play with that right after we're done recording. I'm excited for it.
So it's a lot of fun. So that's still making great progress. We still probably have a few weeks of development time on that, is my guess. But it's looking good for our original goal of Q1. So that's awesome. And then also this week I spent a lot of time trying to debug some scaling issues that we were having on some of our servers. Um, this is kind of a fun thing when you're a small startup. Like previously at big companies that I work at, the answer to this would have been, "We'll just throw money at it, right? Like let's just double our capacity on all of our servers, and the problem goes away." But as we're building in public, we try not to just solve problems with money, right? So I spent actually dedicated some time trying to debug what was going on, set up some better alerting, set up some better scaling, and really dug in to try and get some details on to what's happening. It's only happening in some really rare cases that we have some scaling problems where people throw a ton and ton and ton of data at the system all at once. But something we dug into and made some really good progress on it. Still some work to be done there. But really some good benefits that I think all of our customers across all of our instances will see. So lots of fun there. Boring technical stuff, but fun.
No, and that's good. And that's stuff that people will see and notice. And I know sometimes Tyler gets bugged when it's not like the sexy brand new feature that we get to tout. At the same time, those are the updates that make our customers super happy. And so I have to keep reminding him that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, a fun one we had today, like while I'm just talking, is like I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago we introduced the ability to handle raw files in the application, and that was great and it was working great. But long story short, processing raw files is pretty intensive and it is slow. Like even if you have done professional photography at all and you pull up like Lightroom on your own personal computer, that's way faster than any server in the cloud. It takes a while to load those pictures, right? And it was really interesting to think, oh well, I was thinking about it this week. Well, how could we speed that up? And I actually went and looked at a bunch of documentation for Lightroom, which is a professional photography studio application, and saw how they did it, right? And kind of found some tips and tricks. And it turns out that in a lot of modern raw uh, image formats, the camera actually embeds a preview directly in it for that exact reason, because RAW is really expensive to process. So it's kind of fun digging through their documentation on how they do it and then applying the same thing to our servers. So we should be able to use the built-in previews in RAW files. Hasn't shipped quite yet. Probably will finish working on that next week. But that'll speed up the raw image previews pretty significantly. I think it takes about a tenth of the amount of time to extract the one that's in it versus extracting the full raw preview. So that's kind of a fun thing that I did this week as well, more on a discovery aspect, but that'll have a big impact as well on customers that use raw files coming soon. So stay tuned for that.
I love it. Very cool. Well, good job this week, dude. That's awesome. On my ends of things, again, my primary responsibilities besides paying the bills and paying taxes and all that super exciting stuff is the marketing and sales side of things. Had some really good conversations with some amazing businesses that we're hoping to sign with soon. We're building out a whole new kind of presentation, slide deck that we're going to present to people when they're reviewing us versus our competitors, things like that. And hopefully they're looking at the website and viewing content like this, getting to know us as a brand and as a company to understand if we're a good fit for them and who they are. And so I spent a lot of time on that. We're also always exploring new channels for growth. I have two or three new channels. I don't think I've even talked to you about this, Tyler, yet, that are going to be really fun and exciting.
With
That I
secrets.
think that, yeah, they're going to be fun. And as we launch those channels, I'm going to be really excited to talk about them here and give full disclosure on honestly how they perform and what they look like and all that good stuff. So excited on that front, doing some experimentation. We're learning and growing as we go. We had a fun conversation with our investors this week where basically when we were talking through everything, they're like, you need to take some more risk. You need to spend a little bit more money on the marketing side. And so Tyler and I sat down, figured out the appropriate budget, and now we're spending the time and effort to really not just spend the money for the sake of spending the money, but we're spending the money to do the right things to get in front of a lot of people. And I mean, the matter of fact, and hopefully this doesn't sound too salesy, is our customers really are happy when they're on the platform.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of us using the budget to get in front of more people. And that's really what we're trying to do. And we've got some fun and creative ways that I think we're going to be able to do some fun things and do it in a good way and kind of do it in the right way. That's a big part of who we are. We want to do business right and be honest with people. And hence this open disclosure of who we are and what we do and all that kind of fun stuff. But sometimes I have less exciting updates than Tyler because it's demos, it's podcast episodes, it's getting feedback on the product and getting good insights about what we should build. And I'm the one that's in a lot of meetings every day. And so that's mostly what my calendar looks like. And
I don't know if it's
it's a
any
ton of
less
fun.
exciting. It's different for sure. I think the one thing that's awesome is you get a ton of direct interaction with our customers, right? Like I get some, like I get to spend some time with everybody, but I don't get as much as you. And but sales is important, believe it or not, as we're building the business. So that's something that is very important to be doing.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the big things when we built out this business is my whole career has been in marketing. And it's fun for me to connect with other people in very similar circumstances. You know, even on the marketing side, I managed a full SDR team, lots of collaboration with the sales. I was on the demand generation side. And it's fun to really talk to these people where I have felt their pain and say, okay, well, are you doing it this way or this way? And like using that experience and really showing, hey, we know what we're talking about, but at the same time, we need to learn and grow and understand what their pains are and figure out how to put it into the product. And really, it's kind of fun because as soon as someone gives you that golden nugget of information, I'm like, that's really smart. Yeah, I can see how I should have used that a long time ago. Thank you for sharing that now. And let's figure out how we can get that in the product. And so it's a ton of fun. Those conversations are awesome.
Well, it's amazing how those conversations have shaped us over the last 12 months, right? Like as we talk to people more and more and more, it's just this is part of the lean startup methodology, right? Just like talk to everybody, get as much feedback. But there's been like crucial parts of our application that everybody loves that we'd never even thought of, right? We're like, oh, yeah, we should probably do that, right? And we
Yeah.
the funny thing is like as we've implemented those, it's like the needle moves a little bit and nobody talks about those anymore, but then there's this whole new wave of things. It's like it's funny how they kind of coalesce around certain topics as we talk to people and other things get checked off the list. There's other topics that come to the surface, right? Like I think
Yeah.
the most recent one being like we've heard a lot of talk in our conversations around partners and supporting like partner relationships and content sharing amongst partners, which, you know, when we originally started building partners was not really the use case we were going after, right? But it's just kind of raised to the top with more and more conversations over time. So it's something we're excited to kind of continue to dig into in conversations and figure out.
Yeah. And we built some initial functionality to facilitate that. We built it so the pricing accommodated that. And then
Yeah.
also the permissions and things like that. But honestly, people are looking at it and saying, awesome. I can see almost the full picture here. Like it works great for some of their partners, but then there's these new requirements about how do we do this and how do we share it here and how do we do this and that. And that's really got our wheels turning and we're really excited to expand the product for that. And we have some really good plans there. And going back to an earlier point, one of our objectives, I don't know if we've ever set like a tangible goal for this, but it has been to be as close to the customer as possible.
Yeah.
Like our objective, there are other people in this space for sure, right? And we have some like big competitors, and they're great companies, don't get me wrong. Our goal is to have more conversations with people in our space than even those big corporations. And honestly, I would be shocked if those companies talk to their customers, prospective customers, and people in the space more than we do. My calendar is more full with people in the space than I've seen in a lot of businesses. We talk to customers and prospective customers and people in the space so frequently, every single
Yeah.
day for a good amount of time. And for us, that's just how we want to grow. That's why we spend so much time doing product improvements from customers. That's why we do this and that. That's why customers feel comfortable telling us because honestly, we're on the phone with them on a regular basis and they're able to say, you know what would be cool? Could we do this? And like
Yeah.
that's part of the value and benefit of working with us because suddenly those ones that make sense for everyone, it's, a month later, a couple weeks later, depending on what everything looks like, all of a sudden their dream feature, where with a lot of other corporations, like I can't think of one software I've worked with in the past to request a feature and know that I was going to get it is kind of take or leave it. All of a sudden they're like, oh sweet, like that's life. That's amazing. Like a little one was putting your tags in alphabetical order. Because right now we do it usage based. And honestly, like we had quite a few customers and prospective customers say, hey, well, I've got a lot of tags in this specific category. What if you made it alphabetical? And it was so cool to be able to ship that and have people be like, yes, the most amazing thing ever. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's the littlest thing, right? But
Took me months of
those are
work,
the
Ben. It
moments.
wasn't
Yeah,
little.
months.
Months.
Yeah.
Months of work.
Tyler had to relearn the alphabet and everything just to make it work. But I mean, that's a big rant right there, but it's just how we want to run the business,
Yeah.
and that's never going away. That's who we are through and through.
Yeah. And what I love about that as well is like people might hear that and think, oh, well, this is we're talking to customers a lot, but it's not just customers. Like we're talking to customers a lot. We love meeting with our customers, but we're also talking to just people in the industry and not for the purpose of selling. Like a lot of the conversations we have separate podcasts, we have just product feedback interviews. We have a lot of things that are not sales oriented that are just to make sure that our vision is aligned the right way. And it's kind of been fun to see like our customers, again, I almost feel sounds salesy, but like our customers love us, right? Like, and we do a really great job there. But like some of the feedback we've gotten from non-customers has even increased our ability to service our customers better, right? Because like they've introduced concepts or thoughts that we haven't had or that people haven't run into. So it's really fun just to get ourselves out there, right? Like even if it's not sales oriented, talking to both customers and not has really helped drive a lot of our vision.
And one of the things, and it's kind of funny, and our investors they'll be on here one day. Almost every single time we meet with them, I ask, how do we suck? Yeah, and like
Yeah.
ask for their honest feedback. And with these product feedback interviews with customers and non-customers and people in the space, it's all about humility. Like we're not there asking for a pat on the back by any means. It's for people to say, hey, Ben and Tyler, I don't get why you did this way. Or, what would be cool is if you could do this. Because honestly, how this is currently built, this one little feature, I would never touch it. But if it did this, that
Mm-hmm.
would be valuable. It's like those things where you just kind of chuck the pride out the door and take a humble slice of pie and just enjoy the honest feedback. And sometimes it feels like criticism, and there's nothing better. And I feel
You
like we've
gotta
gotten really
let the
good at
people
accepting that.
let your people let the people call your baby ugly sometimes,
Yeah,
right? So that you can hear the truth, and that's great.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's honestly an art and a science to get people to give you that feedback. Because people by nature are kind and not mean. And so you kind of have to set the stage. A lot of times we go in those feedback interviews and I'm like, I'm going to show you a specific feature and I want you to tell us how to make it better.
Yeah,
Like, I don't need you to say, this is amazing. I need you to tell me how it can be better.
yeah,
And it's really helpful to kind of give people the permission to give their honest feedback.
yeah. And if you don't, people are too nice, right? If you don't, people just say everything's great.
Yeah, and just that's a part of it. And it's just human nature, and I completely understand. But this has gone on way too long already,
Yeah,
so
we're over time.
this is gonna be a fun to edit. Tyler, you're a rock star. Thank you to everyone watching, and hopefully these installments are helpful. And just like we talked about, if anyone has any feedback how to make these better and more insightful, hit us up. You know where to find us. You found us somehow, and I guarantee our contact information is somewhere out
somewhere.
there with that, associated with it. So love your feedback. Well, have a good one.
See you next week.